Hi, how you all doing? Welcome back to Where Clarets Walk, episode 24 this week. Jam-packed episode as usual. We've got Jordan, Connor and Dan back with us. Thank you very much for watching. We are talking about the future of Burnley this week and Barras and McDermott in their starring role in the FA Cup. Is Tresor lazy or is he just a little bit injured? We'll get the panel's views on that. AI is going to predict whether Burnley are going to continue all their home fixtures undefeated for the rest of the season, and because January's rubbish, we're picking the worst Burnley side of Championship era, starting with the goalkeeper in goal. So get thinking on who the worst ever goalkeeper you've ever seen in a Burnley shirt was. We'll ask these guys to pick theirs at the end of the video. Thank you very much for all the comments that we received. We're going to have a look at some of them from last week in a second. But first of all, it's FA Cup review time. Jordan, got through in the end, but did they make heavy weather of a fixture that should have been done and dusted sooner than it was?
I'm going to say we don't have to make a meal of stuff, do we? I think it were a settler for the boys. I mean, there were some big changes in there, but it were a good settler. Now I'm just hoping they can take a bit of confidence with that, because the passing play for the first 25 minutes were pinpoint, really, weren't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, who impressed for you? We'll talk about the two young lads in a minute, but who else?
Oh, no, then that was it. That was my entire list, them two lads. I think the first 20 minutes we were very, very good. We went off the boil a bit. Who impressed? Well, it's really the back line again, which is a bit boring talking about Burnley defenders, because that's all we ever seem to do. But those that came in, adapted themselves admirably. Unfortunately, Hildaki didn't shower himself in glory with that one mistake. But I think certainly you could pick any of the back four. I like Son. I thought he had a decent debut, so I'll go with him just to be, nice.
Okay. All right, then, Connor. Let's have a look at. Let's look at some of them. So Joe Barras and Tommy McDermott both got decent futures ahead of them. Some of the comments, Chris said, "Well played today, Joe." Tony says Joe got into his stride, produced one of the nice passes that we see in the under-21s. Appreciate the part that he played in at least two of the goals. A perfectly weighted cross right across the front of our three strikers. Let's talk about Joe. Joe Barras, first of all. How impressed with you, Connor, with his performance?
Yeah, I was really impressed, actually. It was a bit of a shock when I saw him in the starting 11, but he happily proved me wrong. And I only really caught the second half in extra time, but some of the crossfield passes he was playing and that cross for Foster's goal, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. McDermott was all right. I didn't notice him as much as Joe Barras, really.
But he's holding the middle ground, Jordan, McDermott, and that's what people were saying. He's stepping up, holding the ground in the middle, is proving his worth. Well done, Tommy. Great game again today. Were people right to acknowledge his contributions as well?
Yeah, of course you were. I'm very much in the same standpoint of, I think, for me, Joe had a supreme game, but Tommy really made a nuisance of himself, didn't he? He didn't give up on one thing. I do remember what time would it have been? I can't quite remember, but he flicks one foot to the other to get his shot off, and I thought a nice little bit of footwork there. So it feels to me like everyone was saying, "Oh, will the confidence be there?" The young lads, to me, they could start on. Is it Saturday we play? They could start on Saturday, and I won't be mad.
It's Friday night this week.
It's Friday night.
Yeah, we'll be watching. Like it's a big one, Sunderland visit, isn't it? Dan, would you start them against Sunderland?
No, the greatest of respect to them and to Jordan's opinion. I think they play very well, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. They were playing Reading, who, with the greatest of respect to Reading, are a League One side who are struggling to get into the top six. We're trying to push ourselves into the Premiership. I think they've both got oodles of potential, and I'm sorry for saying the word oodles, but they've got quite a substantial amount of potential there. I think, certainly for me, McDermott did the flashiest stuff, but can you seriously, hand on heart, say they both get in ahead of Cullen, ahead of Brownhill, ahead of Laurent, ahead of Hannibal when he's not banned? No, in my opinion, no, I don't think they can. I think they acquitted themselves remarkably well, and I thought they were very, very good. I think it's certainly full debut for one and possibly for them both. But no, I don't think they start. But I think certainly we should give them a bit more bench time, and then maybe we'll see a bit more appearances for them, and then certainly two for the future, because I thought they acquitted themselves admirably.
Okay. Connor, the fourth round draw's been made. You're through. You got Southampton away. Could that have gone any worse?
I mean, I was hoping for a home draw, really, because I think it was 2021 last time we had one. But I think it's a very good test for us, actually. Yes, Southampton aren't been great. Yes, we really should be beating them. But at the end of the day, if we go up next season, they're the type of teams we need to be beating. So it's a very good test for us, I think.
Okay. You wanted something a bit more exciting?
Yeah, but no, it's happened now, really, hasn't it? We could have had a derby, but still dreaming.
All right. We'll have a look at some of the comments from last week's video in a second about the flag waving and so on. But before that, we've got another controversial topic to get into about Tresor, Jordan. Where do you sit on this debate? Some fans are saying he's the brief glimpses you've seen him in this season, he's lazy, doesn't look like he's fit at all. Others are saying give him a break, he's injured, he's not really had much time. Where do you sit on the debate?
I sit on the debate of I'm sick to death of us dampening decent players, like, as a fan base, for example. It's like, if he'd have come on yesterday and he'd just walked about, I'd have been, no, what is this guy doing? He was the cause for the last 2 goals, and anyone that wants to deny that wasn't watching the same game everybody else was. For a side of laziness, no, I heard about cramp, and yeah, maybe that's here and there. I'm not in the physio's room, I don't know. But he strikes me as one of them players that he's not lazy, he's just really, really cocky because he knows he can do well what he does. So if you look when he's hitting his pass and he's walking off because he knows where he wants to be and he knows full well where that pass has gone and where much pace he put on it. No, I think he's a fantastic player. I think we need to stop dampening him because he'd be brilliant for what are we lacking? Decent service, and who's going to give it us? He will. So
okay. Let's have a look at some comments then. Parker's Cardi says, I thought he looked like the player we'd been missing, someone with quality on the ball to deliver the final ball, added flair. He looked disinterested and lazy also, but it might be a fitness thing or an attitude thing. Anthony says he's supposed to be fit. Excusing him for feeling tired after 10 minutes is absolute you-know-what. Chris says he's a game changer. Simple as that. We need to try and keep him until at least this summer. He could have a big impact on our season. So a full set of fans divided. Dan, where do you sit on the enigma that is Tresor?
Well, I'm going to compare him now to someone, but take it with a pinch of salt. If you watch Lionel Messi, now I know that's a stretch, but if you watch him, when he starts a game, he wanders around the park. He kind of ambles around. He looks disinterested. He looks like he's not, but he's trying to read the game. I watched a documentary on him, which says that's what his theory is. Now, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that Tresor's doing that. But that being said, he clearly is a class player. There's no denying that. And when he came on yesterday, again, let's keep a reality check. It was Reading. But he showed a bit of a guile, a bit of creativity. He plays a quick 1-2, then cuts it back, finds a ball for Fleming just to knock in. So he does have what would appear a very great talent within him. And whether it's his style of play, that kind of not looking overly energetic, whether he's that luxury player that you have to kind of account for, others have to pick up the slack that he won't do, then it's not a style of play that a lot of Burnley fans like. They like people, the old Sean Dyche way, sweat on the shirt, running around, tracking back, doing the hard grafting miles and what have you. And they don't like someone who's got that ability but appears lazy. So I'm kind of in Jordan's camp on this. I think he is a very, very good player. And I think his style of play makes him look lazy when you compare him to 10 other lads who are running around and trying their best. So I think that's the first time he's played this season. Whether he just wanted to get some game out there because he wants to get out of the club, we've heard loads of rumours, nothing confirmed that he's not happy, this, that, the other. I think he's worth keeping. I think he's a decent player, but I'm not sure whether we can accommodate his style of play. Okay. Hashtag Tresor the new Messi.
That's the only podcast in the world you'll hear that comparison. Thanks, Connor, have your say on this for us?
To be fair, I was going to say he was very, very lazy and very disinterested. But after hearing with Dan and Jordan, I will have to side with them. It could have been a fitness thing. And if it was, I'm happy to be proven wrong. But yeah, I think I'll bite the bullet and just agree with Jordan and Dan.
No, don't let these two.
You'll have to. We're full
bullies
of
push
anyway.
over. Yeah. All right, let us know in the comments what you think. What you think as well. Thank you very much for that. Before we head into the next topic, help us out to target 200 subscribers, please. We're nearly there. We're so close. Thank you for all the support that we're getting so far, and thank you for all your comments last week. Flyover Fred USA says Fleming didn't go far enough. Inflammatory. They're lobbing that flag into the home end. Cantwell wouldn't do it at the turf. Not brave enough, and he would struggle to lift the flag above his head with his weedy arms. We love that comment for Fred. Thank you so much. John Slattery says a bit disappointed he didn't do a soonest and planted the centre spot. Janku said effing loved it, and Putipis said, of course his celebration wasn't over the top. We've beaten our most bitter, most hated, long-standing football enemy on our patch again. What do you expect? A wave and a cheerio? Wave the claret shirt, loud and proud. We are the pride of Lancashire. Thank you so much for all those comments. Please drop us some more in relation to the question on Tresor, and we'll feed some of those back next week. Sunderland then. How do we fancy this one, Dan?
That's easy 3 points, isn't it? Well, we do seem to perform again. We do seem to perform better against the better teams. So we're at home Friday night, under a decent crowd. I think we should be okay. They got beat this weekend, but it's the cup. You can kind of take what you want from that.
Yeah. This happened though in August, though, Jordan. You were reminding of it. It was the third game in, or the fourth game in. You went up to the Stadium of Light, and it was your first defeat of the season. What's different about that side that you can see there versus the side that we now regularly watch?
Well, obviously you've got a few people that aren't here anymore. But that's an understatement, isn't it, really? But if you look at the back line, that's apart from Perez maybe rotating with Humphreys, it's not different on the back line. The middle, we've got Cullen in there now full time, and up front we've got Foster and Fleming. Well, I presume Foster will be taking the reins against Sunderland. He made a great account of himself against Reading. But no, I remember tweeting when that squad came out, and I remember everyone kicking off going, "Oh, it's a boring squad," and saying, "Well, if everyone that's on this mass exodus, then boys are putting the shirt on and going to play, so let's get behind them." So all I'd say is let's do it again, but for the proper reasons now.
Okay, they've signed this Lefay Connor, who's heralded as one expert said is the most exciting player to the that the Championship potentially could have ever seen, and that possibly might make his debut on Friday night at the turf. Does that scare you a little bit that we've got a Premier League quality player in an already exciting attacking lineup?
Well, to be honest, I have no idea who he is. I've never heard of him before.
No, I don't.
All I do is watch the Championship, mate, so I wouldn't have a clue how he plays. I've heard good stuff about him, but I can't really give an opinion, to be honest, because I've never heard of him. No,
doesn't worry you one bit, any of you, that you potentially going to come up against someone with Premier League quality?
Well, how often do you hear it, though? How often do you hear this? Everyone that is the Premier League, they're going to set the world on fire. Zeki Amdouni come to us, always the best thing since Messi. It's just all paper talk. Until I've seen them on a pitch and proving themselves, especially in the Championship. I think if you want to come to England and prove yourself, that is the league, because people will just kick 10 shades at you. So let's see what they can do when it gets rough and tough.
Okay. Once Collins snapped him in the first 5 minutes, I'm sure he won't. You're welcome. Some transfer target news then. Let's have a quick look at these. Dan, this is from Turfcast. Thank you, Turfcast. Do go and have a watch of it if you don't already. Very good Burnley content. And they said that Ekdal and Delcroix will leave the club in January. This is a source from Alan Nixon. There's no loss for you if they did?
Yeah, to an extent, Ekdal, I liked. I thought he was decent. That being said, they've both been long-term injuries, and if they're going to be these kind of players who are going to be liabilities, you don't know every knock they're going to go down. They're better off the books. I know that sounds harsh, but it's a harsh reality. We need football players to be ready, fit, and available to play football. And them two haven't kicked a ball all season. They probably didn't kick it for the best part of last season as well. And if we've got other players like CJ's come in, he's acquitted himself admirably. So has Esteve. We've also got other lads. Humphrey can go centre half as well. I'm not sure about our depth because we've still got one or two can come back. But and Bayer, of course, he's still injured. He's in a long termer. So yeah, to an extent, I don't know so much about Delquois. I didn't really see an awful lot of him. I don't think anyone has really. But yeah, it's sad to see him go. But I don't think they'll be greatly missed.
Okay. All right, moving on then nicely. We've asked AI to look at the home fixtures left for Burnley and predict whether or not there'll be wins, losses, or draws. Let's have a look at what they came up with, shall we? First of all, of the home games you've got left, you've got obviously you've got Sunderland this Friday. You've also got Leeds and Sheffield United. But aside from that, look at the league positions of most of the others. They are significantly obviously towards the bottom. So you're running. Of the teams fighting, you've got the most favourable home list there, Connor, of all the four at the top there. Does that give you a slight advantage, do you think, given how strong you are at home?
Yeah, I think it does, but we're also going to take into consideration how many draws we've had this season. But we really should be beating teams like Luton and Sheffield Wednesday and Hull. So I'm not worried, but anything can happen really.
Okay. So AI, obviously it's imperfect. I think it's thrown in an away game there against Middlesbrough accidentally, but it's predicted you to get 26 points from this 30 available, dropping points against Leeds and against West Brom. You'd take that now, would you, Jordan?
Yeah, I'd take it, but I don't think AI has eyes. I don't think it's easy we play against teams that we should beat. Yeah, if that's what we were to, I'd snap your hand off for that right now, but it's just not going to happen, is it? There's too many banana skins in there. We take teams too lightly sometimes.
This is the one thing I was going to ask you all, but Dan, I'll come to you. You've had draws against Stoke recently, Derby as well. You struggled against Swansea. What is it? What have you got to do differently in the next? I mean, is it got to treat each of these home games as an FA Cup final almost to make sure that those draws definitely turn into wins?
I don't know if he's got to go that far, but he's got to do something different. We've had the Lions' share of possession in almost every game, certainly at home, against the greatest of respect lesser teams, but we just seem to struggle to break them down. So he does need to do something better, whether he goes more attacking. Fleming started scoring a few now, so maybe Foster's getting some fitness back. We've got Ashley Barnes, maybe. He does need to. I don't know how he changes or what he does to change, but he's paid a lot more money to do that rather than me. But yeah, he does need to, certainly with the teams where we're not going to concede. So why don't we try and take a few more risks going forward? And be a bit braver in our play. So yeah, to an extent, maybe not, fully gung ho, but he does need to up it a little bit now. We're secure where we are. We'll probably make top 6, but let's go for that top 2.
All right, brilliant. Okay, finally this week, before we let you go, then, because it's January and it's a rubbish month, we're putting together the worst Burnley side of the next 4 weeks that's ever played in the Championship together. We're picking each position and putting together the worst of the worst. So 20 years, Connor, of watching Burnley in the Championship's existence. We'll start with goalkeepers, if that's okay. Who's the worst goalkeeper you've seen between the sticks play for your club?
I think we've been blessed the last, I'd say, 10 years or so with the keepers we've had. But I'm going to have to go with, how do I say this? Gabor Király.
Gabor Király.
Yeah.
You can't do Gabor like that.
He was very experienced, but I just think with his age, he was, and he had competition with Brian Jensen and those stupid tracksuit bottoms are.
I'll wait for that.
He definitely goes down in my estimations as the worst.
Jordan, can you beat that?
Probably not, but I'm going to try. I think Will Norris was shocking. I weren't keen. Well, it was a toss up really between him and Bailey Peacock, because Bailey Peacock just had so many off games, but in the end he fought for the shirt. So I kind of put it down to Will Norris. He was just up to no good, that lad.
Okay, Dan.
I had 2. One is Danny Coyne. I know we were a Welsh international and what have you. I'm going back quite a long time, probably before Jordan were born. But But for us, he didn't really set the world on fire. He was a bit of an anomaly. And then the only other one I could really think of, and to be honest, I'm not even sure if he played that many for us, was a chap called Mike Pollitt. If you ever remember him, you probably don't. He played about 2 or 3 games for us. His history is a who's who of rubbish team. Edit. So yeah, one of them two. Pick it, whichever you favour.
All right. Let us know in the comments who's the worst goalkeeper you've ever seen play for Burnley. And next week, we're looking at strikers. We're going to do a flat 4-4-2. So we want 2 strikers that should have never have played for Burnley. Who's the worst you've ever seen? It shouldn't be too hard, I think. Let us know your goalkeepers. First of all, we'll drop them in the comments, and we'll see you in 7 days' time. Thank you very much. We'll be watching on Friday night. Good luck against Sunderland. See you then.